Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Summer Squad. How's everybody doing? I hope everybody's doing well. Y'all already know the drill that we do here. If you could please drop a number 1 in the comment section so that I know that we can all hear me talking to you, to everybody, to all those involved. Let me get to the little page here and let me mute myself. All right, there we go. Thanks, Mama P. Thanks, Tammy. Thanks, Lee and Eileen and Deb and Kimberly and JK and Louisa. Hello, everybody. Hey, Donna. I hope everybody is doing well. Indy, thank you for being here. I hope you're doing well. Jenny, how are you? It's good to see you. Y'all, Emily says hello. She says, hey, Audra. She wishes everybody well and sends her love. She's kind of hanging out in the background. Now, puppy cam is this. Hold on, let me do this because they are literally so turned up. So I'm going to do like this. Luke. Hey. Bo. Bo's blended in with his little bed. Bo. Hey. We just got brushings or, combs, and they are just, I'm talking, the dogs are at each other's throats tonight. Jake's getting possessive over my coffee and chocolate, which is here, so we've had to move it over to here. Luke's been aggressive towards his brother all night long. Now they've all just I'm talking just settled down because they knew. They were like, okay, it's about to get serious up in here. We're talking about Lori Daybell. And you know what? Let me close these blinds so that they don't scare me. There we go. Okay. Anyways, I hope everybody's doing well. Gossip, what's going on? Y'all already know. If you don't know, Gossip is Kathy. Gossip Ruin Your Innuendo. She collabed with me on this channel and the other one. And I have not rewatched it yet, Kathy, but Kathy collabed with Dr. Barry as well, and I'm sure it was amazing. I saw it pop up on my notifications, and I was like, ooh, I gotta watch that, so I can listen to it tonight. I hope everybody's doing well. I hope everybody had a great weekend. Oh, thank you, Jenny, for the super chat. I greatly appreciate that. And let me get back over to the YouTube channel. Okay, there we are. That's so sweet. Let me heart that. It went back. Okay, please hold. There we go. I do appreciate it. So, y'all, tonight, what we are going to be doing is, I know, Jenny, I know, I love Kathy too. She's so much fun. We are going to be going over the Lori Daybell interview, I guess you could say. Now, here's how I did it. I recorded the video for the main channel today. It'll go sometime next week. So what I did is this, like if you follow me on my stuff, you know how I'll sit here and just like make notes of the whole thing. Pardon me. Well, for this, hey, Sandy. So what I did is I didn't do the background information, right? Because I kind of was like talking to all of us who we followed it for a while, because a lot of it was just background information. Now, here's the thing. They had 90 minutes from setup to close. So for the Keith and his team, whatever, to show up, set up, interview Lori. So there is that. I have not yet watched Keith and Nate Eaton's interview and all that type of stuff. I'm going to do that maybe tomorrow or whatever. So there's that. Now, as Jenny just said, let's dissect her face first. Literally, and y'all, there's two versions of this. There's a let's get petty, and then like the legitimate, like, what's up? Okay, as I said earlier, first of all, those eyebrows of hers walked into the room 10 minutes before she got there. Let's just go ahead and be honest about it. I figured, pardon me, that Lori would have been like, I'll do the interview, but I want a professional makeup job. You know what I'm saying? But it's like clear that she is still doing like the prison makeup or whatever, which, hey, cool, whatever. So I was like, okay, wasn't expecting that. But then and this is how I talked about it in the video today that I was recording. And if you watch, you know what I'm talking about. And let me go to my live screen so I can see it in person. So she will be talking and be like this right here. Well, Keith, and I'm telling you the truth. And I was like, and I don't know if I better say this, but I was like, a demon's got a hold of that one. That's demon talk right there. The way she was so contorted, it's like, I just feel like, I'm sorry, something's got a hold of her, and it ain't Jesus. Okay, as much as she wants to say it is not. That is not Jesus doing that face on her, okay? Let's just be honest here. So, I was like, what is up with that? And so a couple of things. Yes, she's got her prison makeup going. Her face is like contorted. Now, granted, at the end of the day, she's like, I get like when she was out in the streets, whatever, she, was doing the Botox, was doing this, was doing that, whatever. And I get that like leaves and whatnot. Yeah, Kimberly just said all her filler and Botox were off. Yeah, totally get it. And I felt like there was another step to this, and in the contortions that we were seeing, and almost like her eyes. I said this to maybe in the Patreon chat we were doing. I was like, her eyes look very troubled, right? Like there's something behind that where I'm like, oh, and I was talking to Emily actually earlier today, and we were talking about like how obviously if she were ever stop and be like, oh, you know what, I messed up, you guys, sorry, then it's like, okay, so, well, what was the outcome of the mess up? We see what that was. We see the outcome of her children and whatnot, right? So she's going to have to always stick with something of like, this wasn't my fault or whatever, right? So I feel like her being in jail, in prison, oh, thanks for being a member for 7 months, Danny, and welcome back. I feel like for her kind of being left to her own devices upstairs for so long, it's taken her toll on her is what I'm trying to say here. Okay, so let me pull up my notes over on the phone because I forgot to do that before we got started. So I was like this. I would love for them to just put up the unedited version of the clip of the interview. Like, just let it roll. You know what I'm saying? And maybe they will one day, because I felt like we kind of got ripped off. Now, from what I could understand from Keith, he's basically talking about she was so all over the place that it was like trying to reel her in. And we'll get into it as I go through some of my notes here, because watching it, I was like, oh, this trial is getting ready to get turned up. Okay. All thanks, Izzy, for the sticker and the super chat. I appreciate it. We'll get to my thoughts on like at the end of that. So, oh, thanks, Sherry, for gifting 10 memberships. I do appreciate that. And I'm sure so do the people who are getting those memberships right now. Okay. Let me find it. Where did it go? To do Cindy. Yeah, I've been glued to that Levi's book we're speaking of. So if you're becoming a new member, I'm reading that book, Levi's Eyes by Aphrodite Jones right now. And I just posted a couple little videos on it yesterday. I was glued to the sofa all day long reading that yesterday, which is rare for me. It is good. Okay, I'm trying to find my notes. Is this it? Okay, here we go. Okay. So let me just read through here. Okay, so Lori Daybell. Okay, I already did that. Okay, so at the very beginning, we see some of those like teaser things in the beginning of it where they show like some maybe salacious, chunks or previews or whatever. Okay, so he says something with Lori. It's the only time this will be granted. She has 90 minutes. So yeah, she saunters in, she's smiling, she's giggling. And overall, like that right there, as I was like, this is why we're here. She loves this attention. She absolutely loves this attention. And just kind of coming in there and, being nice and cordial. And I mean, I get she gets out of her cell. It's something to do. It's exciting. This, that, and the other. Here's the other thing, though. Why on earth, with someone who's getting ready to go to trial, and they said they did this 6 weeks ago, why on earth would you do an interview like this? Why would you do it? Oh, thanks for gifting 5 memberships, Danny. It doesn't even make sense. Audra, I saw her thing, but she's actually coming to do a collab on the 13th. So I'm going to interview her about that book, Levi's Eyes, and I'll probably be for like a pre-recorded thing for the main channel. But yeah, she's super nice, super informative, very open. Like I've thoroughly enjoyed like the way she's corresponded about the book. Talking about Aphrodite Jones. Thank you, Jenny says she just asked the producer to do the unedited version. Hey, Dreadhead, what's up? So the attention. She loves it. This and the other. She comes in. She's doing all this, whatever. Okay, so now here we go. Lori Saunders and the teaser footage. We'll go over this again later, but again, I just watch it as I see it come through. Okay, so Keith says, "You're the most hated mom in America," and she laughs and she's like, "I've heard that before." And then she talks about how the media twists everything around. And then she says that she's not exposed to like what's going on the outside, which I think she'll contradict herself about this. So we'll get to that later. But she's basically like, "I don't know what's going on out there. I'm in prison or whatever." And he's like, "Are you misunderstood?" She's like, "Yeah, I would say so." Then he's like, she says she's loved Chad for eternities and eternities and will continue to love him for eternities. We'll get to that. Then Keith asked her if she remembered the first meeting with Chad, and she's like, "Yes, it was amazing. Oh my goodness. We met in the portal. Deep in the portal." Now she said that portal stuff, but she might as well have. Okay. She's like, "It was amazing." He's like, "Well, why?" And she's like, "The veil was lifted. The veil came open, long and hard and open for anyone." And he's like, "Really, Lori?" I felt like she was flirting with him throughout, but I think she does that with any dude, right? And she didn't say the veil was open long and hard, but she did say the veil was open. And she's like talking about how it was pulled back. She talks about how she's like looking down at herself, almost like other out of body experience. And remember, and I also recorded another installment of Visions of Glory today. This is this whole thing with Visions of Glory, with Ruby, with Jody, with Lori, with, the whole crowd, Chad. Lori's sitting here talking about, I was like out of my body, okay, and like looking down on myself. And Chad and I like recognized each other spiritually, right? Like we felt that like deep in the loins, okay, like we knew each other. It's this whole obsession with wanting to be like a biblical figure and having this information from above or whatever, right? So she says this, she's like, "Yeah, Chad and I knew each other for eternities." Then he starts getting into those hard hitting questions. Okay. So she's like, or I'm sorry, he's like, where'd he go? He asked her about the divorce and like why they didn't get one. Obvious question. Now he says, so Chad comes along. He tells you that you're this goddess, that you've lived all these eternities together. And then she stops him right there. And she's like, "Who says that? Did you say that?" She's very defensive. And then she says, "Keith, you've heard a lot of stuff, but what I'm here to tell you, it's going to be the truth. Okay. It's going to be the truth." And now what they'll do is they'll do that. And then what Keith and the Dateline will do is they'll then present the evidence that shows otherwise. So like when she's like avoiding these questions, because that's what she does, and this will go into my narrative at the end, we'll talk about it, but I'll go ahead and say it. She 100% knows what she did. She knows the difference between right and wrong. She knows what she did is wrong, because if she didn't, if she was truly just out there, she wouldn't be, and I'm not going to say, I'm going to say so good at, I don't mean that she's like good and swift, but she knows what she's doing. She's good at avoiding the questions because she knows what to do and when to lie, right? And so there's that. Now, next, Lori says, "Oh, she's going to tell the truth." Keith asked Lori about the whole concept. Oh, yeah. He's like, asking her about the whole concept of her and Chad, saying that Charles Vallow was taken over by a demon named Ned Snyder. And Lori looks at Keith like real funny. And she's like, "What are you trying to say, that Ned Snyder took over, Charles?" And then she gets super defensive and she says, "Oh, really? Do you have proof of this? Did you see it?" And he's like, "Yeah, there's like videotape, there's like text, like there's a lot of evidence of this, like, even Charles saying this and whatnot." And she's like, "Really, Keith? Really?" And even though so then they go into the thing about, and they meaning the show, Keith, showing all this evidence of text messages, all this. She's blatantly talked about. She knows who Ned Snyder is, right? But even though there's all this tons of evidence, she just gives Keith this weird look, and she's like, "Is that really where we're going with this?" Now, let's pause there for a second. This is what I'm talking about when I say this trial is getting ready to be turned up. Because here's the thing. She willingly goes on about, what do you call it? Whatever, like they're asking her obvious questions. Oh no, I'm sorry. She willingly goes on the show 6 weeks before. When presented with evidence in an, let's say, on the streets format, like she doesn't really have to answer these people, right? It's not court. She's denying and lying. It was almost like it's a test run. But the thing is it's like, in the moment, they probably just skirt by it and do whatever to get the interview. In court, they're going to be like, well, Lori, bam, here's these text messages. Well, I didn't write that. Well, I didn't do this. Like she's had years to think of this. But also, again, I'll say this, I do not think her motivation is justice. I think her motivation is attention, revenge, boredom, talking, attention, talking to Chad. Although I was telling Emily this today, I pay good money for them to put Melanie Gibb on the stand and have her question her, and Zalima, and Julie Rowe. Just like, let's just take the petty road of it, like for pure entertainment value. If they put Melanie Gibb up on the stand with Lori Daybell question her, get the popcorn, please. Wait, what happened? Are y'all still there? My thing did something weird over here. Hold on. Please hold. My YouTube thing just messed up. I don't know if it's StreamYard. There it is. Okay, I guess not. So I'd pay good money for that, right? And in this, so also side note, so in this the Dateline thing, they're showing like all this old footage and stuff like this. And this is what we're doing. As it gets closer to the trial, we're gonna rewatch like Melanie Gibbs interviews and all this. If you know what I'm talking about here, when they did those interviews when it first came out, and I think it was for Nate Eaton, and they put Melanie Gibb walking through that patch of grapes and like pretend like, and let me find something. Pretend my glasses. Pretend the Snoopy toy is the cluster of grapes that Melanie Gibb like goes up to in this like B-roll footage or whatever. She's like this. She's like, and you're just like, what are you doing to those grapes? It's so weird, right? It's so stupid. It's like, why do we need this cheesy B-roll footage? Don't make her touch the grapes like that. I know, right? Corky says, I can't wait to hear her say, you know me, Mel. You know me. Okay, so. Okay, where am I at? Keith says, oh, yeah. So there's the part about that. She turns that down. Okay, Keith says that Charles was terrified that Lori was going to kill him. And that's when Lori says, really, Keith? Is that where you're going with this? He said, and then Keith said, like in the B-roll voiceover, that she wanted to talk about it after that. Okay, then when Keith confronts her about the whole insurance thing, about how when she found out she didn't get the insurance money, this sets her off. She says, I can't talk about that because I'm in trial coming up, as you very well know, Keith. Here's the thing. So the insurance money, again, if you're new to this case, whatever, very quickly, when she killed JJ or had a hand in killing JJ, whatever took place, whatever, she was under the impression she was going to get all this money from the payout, the insurance payout. Well, Charles behind the scenes already knew that Lori was smoked, so he transferred everything over to Kay, his sister, in hopes of taking care of, like he was setting out, he saw this coming, screamed it from the rooftops. So when Lori found out about that, woo, y'all, she was done, right? And I honestly think a part of, granted, I think she wanted JJ out of the picture because he was just in her way. But I also think that it was like a revenge type thing. Like she liked getting back at Charles and Kay and Larry and that kind of a thing. And I think she gloated, and that's why she would just almost be laughing at Larry and Kay when she saw them in court. It's so horrible. But again, she deflects, she avoids this. Oh, I'm in trial. You can't do that. And I'm like, yeah, exactly. Like, you're in trial. You know what I'm saying? It's like, why are you even here talking about any of this? Like, it doesn't make sense at all. Pardon me. So, oh, thanks allegedly for joining. I appreciate it. Okay, now where are we at here? Okay, so then Keith asked, oh, wait, hold on. Now this part right here was real rich, okay? Keith's like, does Jesus visit you often? She apparently had been talking about Jesus. And he's like, does Jesus visit you often or whatever? And she's like, oh, yes. Oh, girl, he's a good friend. He comes and visits all of us all the time, okay? I'm his favorite, though. And then she's like, I'm just joking. Keith, can I joke with you? And then she was like, oh, where's my notes? She's like, yeah, can I kid with you? And she's like, if I ever had a bumper sticker, it would say, Jesus loves you, but I'm his favorite. And you're just like, oh my God, this is so cringy, like beyond belief. And Lori, okay, so then I put Lori sticks to her story. And basically, by the story, what I mean is this: that Tylee was very sick because of the pancreatitis situation. Lori is sticking with, and my theory is going to be for the trial. Lori is sticking with the story that Tylee did this. That Tylee unalived JJ and then unalived herself. That's just what I think she's going to go with this, because again, she can blame all these people. Now, where Lori falls short, and I guess she's just in denial mode, but the evidence is so insanely overwhelming. Now, we'll have to see what happens with what they present about the two trials coming up, right? Pardon me, because we're gonna just, we're gonna have to see. So there's that. Okay, so Keith's like, I say yes. Jesus loves you, but I'm his favorite. Lori says, okay, we did that. Now, Lori says she's surprised that people will. Oh, yeah. Then they start talking about basically like her infamy, I guess you could say. And she's talking about, okay, no, before I say that, remember, thanks, Mockingbird, for becoming a member. Remember earlier how I said Lori was like, oh, I don't know what's going on the outside and, and all this type of stuff. Okay, so then Lori's talking about, he's talking about her infamy and all this, and she's like, yeah, I've heard that, like people make like blogs about me every day and this and that, and I mean, how do they even have enough content for that? And I'm like, girl, are you kidding me? Like, literally, somebody could. There's entire channels dedicated to this, like, and could continue on for probably a lifetime. Okay, but it's the fact that she knows that and whatnot, because I personally think that she has her own little minions out there, cough, cough, Chad Daybell's kids, et cetera, reporting back to her and Chad and whoever all this information, right? She's keeping tabs on the family members and people like this. She loves any of this attention, and so she wants to hear all about it. She probably eats it up to hear about this and the other. I mean, she willingly went on her son Colby's podcast, which one side you might be like, well, it's her son, maybe she wanted to give him answers. No, right? She's, no, right? That's not her motivating factor. Oh, thank you, allegedly, with Brittany J. And you said you inspired me to start my channel, and I love what you do. Thank you for being. Oh, I appreciate that, and that's awesome. I'll check it out. Mockingbird says she's on some good pills in prison. She's got this crazy ass. That I'm literally thinking she has to be doing something, right? So, hey, Kate, how's it going? Okay, so what happened to her? Where are we at? Okay, so we did that. And then Lori says that she talks about how the media takes all of her tragedies and turns them into something more. And she says, what's happened to her is one tragedy after the other. Right. And it's like, yeah, that's not how that works. Like the fact that she's told herself that is crazy to me. But also, like I said, you'd almost have to latch onto that to be able to get through the day, right? So Lori says that, okay, then we get on the subject of Tammy Daybell. And Lori's like, she died of natural causes. And then Lori says, Tammy knows this. Tammy knows the truth. And then Lori says, I love Tammy. Okay. I love her. And she loves me. Okay. And then she's like, she comes here to visit all the time. When Jesus isn't here visiting, Tammy's here visiting. Okay. And she's like, I've always loved Tammy. We've been friends for many eternities. She says she comes to visit her in jail. And then there's another quick little segment where Lori's like, Keith, you're going to have to write all these questions down. I'm going to have to answer them one at a time. And it's just this little, thing or whatever. Oh, wait, Leslie says she's on 0 meds. Yeah, that is shocking. Okay. The show where Lori says, you got to write questions down. And then she laughs and says, oh, and then which she's like, I'm going to have to write these one down. Then she laughs. And she's like, I thought we were going to be friends, Keith. And Keith chuckles and he's like, I thought we were friends. And Lori laughs and says, I love everybody. I love everyone. I spread the love. And it's just kind of like, right? Keith says, what? Oh, then this one was good. Keith goes, and what was the relationship all about with Chad? And Lori says, excuse me? You mean my husband? My husband, Chad. That guy, the guy I've been married to for 5 years. And I was like, I thought it was eternities. But then she's like, yeah. So I'm Lori Daybell. And I'm just like, oh, yeah, she's still down that rabbit hole. That's not something to brag about at this point. But in her world, it's like, it's so weird seeing her now because I'm like, she's like living 10 years ago, right? Like that is where she is still stuck. And I'm Lori Daybell. And it's like, nobody cares about that, probably even Chad. Okay. But I guess all they would have is each other at this point, right? I mean, come on. Okay, where are we at? Oh, this was a good one. This is like another one where I was like, oh, we're about to hear. If you want to hear some just pure BS, she is going to absolutely be slinging it. Okay. So Keith asked her about the wedding rings. Now, what happened is Lori ordered ordered these wedding rings off of Amazon, like, well, a week before Tammy was murdered. So obviously it's like, well, what's up with that girl? Because remember, after Tammy's murdered, it was like almost like very soon they're getting married. Okay. They go to Hawaii, see these pictures that we're all used to seeing. Okay. So he's like, well, what about, these wedding rings? And she gets very angry at this. And she's like, you don't know what you're talking about. You just believe these rumors. And then she starts singing. She's like, rumor has it. And I was like, oh, God, she's bringing Adele into this. And then she's like she's doing the stuff like that. And he's like, well, who are they for? And he has to ask these because she's like, those weren't for us or whatever. And so he has to keep asking her this. And then finally, she's like, they were initially for Alex and Zulema. Okay. Mr. Nosey. No, she didn't say that part. And then she says, so Alex is her brother. He's dead. Zulema was his wife, who they basically met. Zulema controls Earth, Wind, Fire. We'll watch that interview. My God almighty, it's real rich. So Zulema's still alive. So she's like, we ordered the rings and like wedding clothes for Zulema and Alex. We borrowed them and then gave them back. Now, first things first, I'm like, girl, I can 100% tell you that just putting her and Zulema next to each other, I'm like, y'all are not wearing the same wedding dress, period, end of story. Okay. Like, that's not going to happen. Not going to be a thing. Right. But then, like Keith says, right after that, they're like, they talk to detectives, and the detectives are like, yeah, there's absolutely no evidence of her ever talking to Alex or Zulema or anything about wedding clothes, rings. We're going to get you this stuff. None of that. Right. And this is what Lori forgets, but it's like, she's also probably so hyper focused and like looking through a seeing eyeglass of the evidence that I think what happens is the defendants like Lori and stuff forget that because it's their only world, like time stopped. That's what they're doing. And like, that's their whole world to them. And they forget that it's like, look, you know, this is very easily, this doesn't make sense. Why would you even lie about that? It's clear that it's not true. Technically, could you maybe have talked on the phone? Sure. Would Zulema come and testify about that? Maybe. Does it matter at this point? No. Please hold. But these are the kind of things that when she's in court, I'm just like, how is she going to stand up to an attorney with receipts that just plop down on the table right then and there, right? Okay, so then another segment, she's sitting there laughing, and she's like, Keith, I'm here to tell you the truth, Keith, but you don't want to hear it. And he's like, I do want to hear it. She's like, no, you don't. And then she keeps going on about how she's the only one that really knows what happened. She wants to tell the truth, but he doesn't want to hear it. So she's like, if you just want me to sit here and be quiet, Keith, I'll sit here and be quiet. And it's just like, and again, we don't know what's going on in between this because they're not showing the full footage of it. But it's just funny how she keeps doing this. So then she goes into this whole thing about like her never spanking her children. And, she's only ever been nice to them. And, she wanted to raise them up in like certain ways because of things that she learned when she was in heaven. And then she starts talking about Tylee and how Tylee knew how to push her buttons and was, defiant and this and that. But Lori's like, but I had a lot of patience, and this, that, and the other, and with her sickness, and even when I met Tylee in heaven before she came down here, and she knew all of this, her sicknesses and all the stuff that was going to happen to her in life, but she was still giddy and she was still excited about coming down here to earth and living through this and whatnot. Well, again, if you listen to the way Lori talks about Tylee in this way, it's only in like this relation to prop her own self up. Like, well, Tylee would push her buttons, but I was patient. Well, Tylee would do this, but I was this. Well, my kids did this, but I would, that kind of a thing, right? It's very I focused. Now, mind you, I would, most of us are like the world that we're the center of our own universe, right? I get that. But this is like something a little bit different, I feel. But, it is what it is. I'm a therapist. Okay. Yes, we did that. Okay. So then you're just going to. Oh, then this is the most truthful part right here of the whole damn interview. At one point, Lori's like, you're just going to come here and do this little interview, hear what I have to say, and then you're going to go back to your show with your little ominous voice, and you're going to be like, I talked to Lori Daybell, but this is what really happened. And I'm like, yeah, basically. I'm like, okay, so yes, she is speaking. We're going to use this as her baseline for speaking truth because this is totally what he's going to do. This is why we watch Keith Morrison. That is his voice. She did a pretty decent impression of him. So it's like, okay, yeah, point taken there. And he kind of laughed at that because it's like, yeah, that's exactly what I'm going to go home and do. You know what I'm saying? Oh, thanks, Teresa, for being a member for 5 months. I appreciate it. So yeah, Andy says she was so confrontational, 100%, right? 100%. And yeah, Patricia says she killed her father. She was not good to her kids. Exactly, right? It's like, it's so weird to sit here and listen to her say these things because it's like, girl. Now, I have not seen the crime scene photos of like the remains of the children and stuff like that. I don't think I can handle that. But it's like, girl, like, we know what happened to your kids. Okay. Now, I get we're talking about different things of like before and like whatever. But nonetheless, it's just like taking the temperature where it's like, don't boast about being a good parent when your children were buried in the Chad Daybell's yard. Just don't do that. You know what I'm saying? So, anyways. Okay, so she denies that. Oh, wait, where are we at? Can we hear you have to say? And tell you about the voice. This is what really happened. Okay, so then Keith asked her, why did Chad label your children as dark zombies? She denies that and says, did you hear him say that? And he's like, well, no, but others did. And Lori's like, well, I didn't hear that. And then he says, well, there seems to be a pattern of people being labeled dark and then dying around y'all. And Lori says, no, that's the narrative you've been going with, Keith. Now, again, this is one where they'll switch to the blatant evidence, right? of all this zombie talk and the scale and going dark and all this stuff. So these are the kind of things where if it's brought back up, it's like it's not, it's just, this is why I'm like, what's going to go on in the courtroom? Okay. This is going to be, you know, crazy. Okay. So Lori says she's been she's been falsely accused, falsely arrested, and will be exonerated. Keith then towards the end straight up asks her, were you there that night your children died? She completely avoids this question. She skirts around it, and he keeps going in, and like literally they're going back and forth, and he's like, did you watch your children die? And she avoids that too. And then she finally says, I was not there when they died, as you very well know, as I told Colby. And she says she did not kill anyone. She did not participate in killing anyone. And she did not conspire to kill anyone. And then Lori says that she's seen the future and that she thinks, and that Jesus showed her the future and she was not in jail. Okay. Yeah. And then she says, Keith, that's a really sad question. I'm like, yeah, it is. Right. It's really, hey, Jazzy. It's like, yeah, it's a real sad question. Now, those are the strict notes that I made. There's just kind of like freely talking about it. So, like I said earlier, I think that the trial is going to be painstaking. I can't imagine her delaying it or getting it delayed because I don't think that she's after that. Like, I don't think she's after truly being exonerated. Okay. Like, I don't think that at all. I think she's saying that. I think she wants to stick to it. I think she's bored. I think she wants to see these people and maybe see Chad and maybe like have some revenge and get Kay and Larry up there and these people to kind of get the last word in and, you know, do this kind of stuff and prove them wrong on something. And I think she's going to end up getting owned on the in the courtroom. Um, Pardon me. And so for those reasons, I don't think she's going to try and delay the trial because I don't think that she's concerned about that. I think that her big thing is going to be like, let's get in the courtroom with these people, right? And I think it's going to be a you know what show. I think she's going to be very angry and like vengeful towards victims like Kay and Larry and people like that. If Chad, if and I don't know if there's a way that she can interview or question or whatever. I don't know if they like if that's allowed. I don't know how that works. Y'all, it's gonna be so cringy because she's gonna be like, "Hello, Mr. Daybell. I'm Miss Daybell. I'm an attorney here in Arizona." You know, like it's gonna be so bad, right? So there's that part. I think that, you know, wait, hold on. Erica says the blatant disrespect towards Keith, a famous person but a stranger, scares me to think what her behavior was towards his poor babies behind closed doors. Oh, 100%. Yeah, absolutely. Oh, Emily's here. You're taking a break. I hope you're doing well, Emily. Um, so I also think that it's not gonna like I could almost see her just getting up there and not even like picking apart evidence because I think her version of picking apart evidence is going to be vastly different than what we see in normal trials. Just like with what Keith said, again, if you look at this interview as like a mock trial, if you will, where he's asking her, like, well, what about this? Like something that there's blatant evidence coming from her phone. Now, technically, it's like she could be like this. Do you have a video of me typing that on my phone? Because I didn't do that. You know, and so it's like, well, okay, you know, point noted, right? But then like it's just all the everything together. And I think that that's going to be what it's like. I think it's just going to be this weird, I'm sticking to this story. I've been going over it in my mind, just like with the Tylee situation, you know, where she's trying to blame Tylee for doing this. And it's like, but there's like all this evidence. It's like she ignores like the cell phone pings of Alex. Now, granted, she can blame it on Alex too, right? But also, she's already convicted. She ain't going nowhere. To even unravel the convictions that she already has would take years. She pretends to not care, but I think somewhere inside she does. Um, oh, hear me out. Thank you for the super chat. I'm impressed by your variety of broadcast locations. I appreciate it. Yeah, I'm actually on the sofa right now And then, yeah, I've been like doing, various places recently, but I do appreciate that. So yeah, again, I feel like she has there's trouble behind her eyes. Um, I think that she's in her own mind and her own world, and she's gone down that rabbit hole. She's not going to come back from it. It's only going to get worse. And yeah. Now, and the thing, they interviewed other people. Obviously Colby was on there. They showed past interviews with Melanie Gibb and whatnot. Now, I have not watched Colby's reaction to this interview. I'm curious to see that. Now, what I want to do is go and watch, um, what is it, Keith and Nate Eaton's interview, and I'm going to go back and watch Colby's, his like reaction to it or whatever, to hear what he has to say. Because, again, he interviewed his mom from prison. And this is where we first were introduced to the Tylee did it theory, right? She also seems to still very much be protecting Chad. Would rather throw her daughter's name under the bus and smear it. Hold on. Than to say anything about Chad, who we know, right? I mean, it's Chad, and so I think Chad and Alex did all this, right? The majority, right? That she was there and helping, assisting, all that, but like the hands-on murders of the children and stuff. I'm like, oh, Chad and Alex. Now maybe Lori was there to help with JJ, but it's sad, and hearing, and they showed clips from Colby and the interview that he did with his mom, and how upset it made him. Because again, imagine hearing your mother say, "Oh yeah, your sister killed your brother." You know, I mean, it's next level. So I pray that they don't sit here and drag it, like delay the trial or do this or do that. Now on March 11th, they're supposed to do here. In fact, let me know if y'all know this. Are they going to, how do you say it, stream, if you will, the hearing on March 11th? If they are doing the stream on March 11th, I will stream it. And we can watch it. I think because that's going to kind of set the precedence for a lot of stuff. Colby was mad. So Brenda says Colby was mad that Keith said he liked her. Wow. Interesting. Keith, hold on. Leslie says Keith told Colby that the interview with Lori was unlike anything he'd ever experienced. That says it all. I mean, right? Think about all the things he's done. And then, thanks, Dwayne, for being a member for 13 months. I appreciate that. Hold on, let me catch up here. So yeah, if they do it on March 11th, which I think they will, then I'll definitely stream it. And hold on. Please hold. And there we go. Okay. So we'll definitely stream that and do that. Let's see how it goes. Okay, let me catch up with your things here. Now, also, Kobe seems to still. I'm just reading your comments right now. Let me move this. Where is it? Colby seems to still want to soften the sharp edges of his mom. Yeah, I mean, and that's one thing that's interesting, like from a psychological perspective, I guess you could say, is like, so look at Colby, for example, where it's like, I mean, it's like all this like crazy stuff, but it's also his mother, right? So there has to be this like, how did we arrive here? How did we end up here? You know what I'm saying? Like that part would just be so many things to peel back. Patricia says, I don't think they're going to stream it. Oh man. If they don't, we'll go over the information that we find out. So, because what that's going to do is they're going to lay the precedents out, because allegedly this is going March 31st, right? So, this is not that far away. It's the end of the month. So we'll just kind of have to see. 100% going to stream it, but again, we'll wait to see if it's actually going to happen, right? Because at this point, anything could happen. She could plea out. She could postpone it. I mean, look at how many years these trials get put off and put off and put off and put off, right? So we'll just kind of have to wait and see what happens. Zachia says, I felt like Keith was too soft on her. He let her get away with those moments of saying his name over and over again. Keith, yeah. He seemed to be, again, I want to see just the unedited version of it, right? To see what that looked like, because he did seem to be, the way they edited it, he was kind of soft on her. Hey, Casey. And I don't know what it would be like in between, because you could tell the way that she was talking that she would be like, how do you say this? Like looking at the other people, like when they showed like the whole thing. I mean, there's like a whole room of people there with Keith, you know what I'm saying, to make it happen. And so she would be like looking at them, like laughing and smirking and stuff like that, looking for approval. I don't know. Shirley Temple says, why would she think the interview is a good idea? Yeah, I have no idea. I 100% question that too. But again, I just think it's for attention. If Sarah Boone can conjure up and stuff like this, we'll start seeing her from prison. It's just, I think that's what they do. It's like the ones of this, meaning like these defendants like this that love this attention. It's what they do. She's a female Joe Dirt. Oh, thanks. Hear me out. I appreciate you being a member. Bunny Bella says, I just came from listening to some Boone messages. Boone, the case that keeps on giving, right? And Jenny says she was totally trying out her new stories and lies and deflections. Yeah, I think it was definitely a little test run. She's probably been testing these things out and just raking over the stuff, especially getting access to all that information. Oh yeah, she's probably sitting there just poring over it, thinking of this, thinking of that. I'll be interested to see what all evidence they present, to tie her into, especially like Brandon Boudreaux. I feel like Charles Vallow's murder would be easier to tie her to. However, just simply because to me, it's like so obvious how that went down, right? He comes over, they lure him in, and Alex shoots him. She probably, conjured up a fight to make it look like a self-defense thing, whatever. And Alex shoots him and then calls 911, right? With Brandon, I forgot to do that. With Brandon, I'm curious to see, but like that evidence that they have of the surveillance footage from the storage, what do you call it? The facility where they had stuff, where it's her and Alex taking the tire that was on the back of the Jeep that was seen at the shooting, and then her and Chad getting said tire like the next day or whatever. I mean, that's the kind of stuff where she's tied to all of these things that she seems to forget. But again, I think she has an excuse for every single thing. And pardon me. Again, that's one of the things that gets tricky. And Sandy, yeah, Tylee was in the house when Charles was, when he was off. Yeah. What's his name? Alex and Lori all were interviewed about the going ons of what happened with that. And we might watch those. And there's so many little interviews like that. Again, we'll see if it's going to happen on March 31st. And as it draws closer, we'll make like our weekly live chats, like our Revisiting Evil or whatever, some of those interviews to get like on this page, because they're haunting. Especially, I haven't watched them in a while. Now, like the Zulema and Melanie Gibb ones will be more for just, I mean, those were so insane. But like Lori's is angering, because it's just like, I mean, just like when Charles was killed, she's at Burger King with JJ, and then sitting there coming back laughing with the cops. And it's like, girl, your husband's dead and you're floor in the house. And you're giggling about the cops and whatnot, or the fact that you're new in the neighborhood. Jazzy says, hold on, off topic, but Paul, did you know they sell a Golden Girl strawberry vanilla cheesecake at Walmart? Absolutely not. Absolutely need to get this. That is amazing. Hey, Caroline. I know they do the Dolly Parton, and God bless Dolly, she just lost her husband. I've tried those, but please, 100% looking for the Golden Girls one. Yeah, Casey Anthony is getting drugged, deservedly so, right? She is getting drugged through the what over trying to come back out and make a thing. And people are like posting so much content of all the evidence. It's like blatantly shows what she did, right? I'm totally here for it. Hey, Northwest. Oh, a Golden Girls mystery novel? We might have to do that. Icing is a crack cocaine. I know it is. That Dolly Parton icing is so. I was just eating out of the tub. I wasn't even putting it on anything. That's how bad off I was. Yeah, I don't know how it works on TikTok as far as like Casey Anthony getting money if we interact with her. I know on her Substack, and again, I don't really know how Substack works. I don't think Substack works uh like say TikTok where it's like views and stuff like that, right? I think Substack is like you actively pay somebody for something. Like I want to join, your Substack. So I'm gonna sign up for, almost like a Patreon or I'm saying, something like that. Now TikTok, in fact, let me see if she's even posted something. She only had those two things, and she has not to my knowledge, she's not posted again. Hold on. Okay, what am I doing? Yeah, I'm looking for who. Where is she? Let's see if she's gone. She still only has those two posts. I don't know how this would work or not. Um, in the realm of if she would, how do you say it? I don't know how TikTok money works. Like if she's getting money off of those two things, like I don't know. I don't know how it works well enough to know, but she's not posting anything else over there. And I haven't looked at her Substack really. It's kind of like, hold on, let me get back up here. I'm trying to see something. Oh, I just looked back up. Oh, Black Widow, I'm so sorry your dog died. That's so sad. Oh my God. Oh, Lord. I'm sorry to hear that. So here's what we're going to be doing just for the rest of the week before we kind of wind things down here. So Tuesday, well, 10, 11. Let me look at the calendar real quick before I say something. Please hold. If they stream Lori Daybell's hearing coming up, which will be the 11th, and this is what I need to double check. Where's the calendar? Boom. Which is Tuesday. Boom. So we'll do that during the daytime if they do that, but I'm not sure. So stay tuned on that. Tuesday evening, we'll do our Revisiting Evil, and it will be Um, oh my gosh, how do I? Who are we doing? Stephanie Lazarus. Oh my gosh, I keep every time I say Stephanie Lazarus, my name wants to do Sherry Papini. And so then I start mixing the two names up. So we'll do Revisiting Evil will be Stephanie Lazarus Tuesday evening. And then if Tuesday during the daytime they're doing the Lori thing, we'll watch that obviously. But I'm not sure if they're gonna stream it. I don't know, right? Um I don't have like a heads up on that. You know what I'm saying? So we'll do that, and then we'll see with the Stephanie Lazarus one if we get through it on Tuesday. If not, we'll finish it on Thursday, and then we'll go from there. So yeah, that one's good. Yeah, if you want to if you're not familiar with the name Stephanie Lazarus, just Google it, do your homework. Do your homework on it, then we will talk about that one because that's another crazy case. Okay, wait, hold on. Northwest says Lori is normally tape delay via Fox 10 Phoenix. Okay, Northwest, thank you for the information. And also, what does tape delay mean? Like the next day they show it, or like what do you mean by that? Like it's not exactly live. Yeah, I got to look at the pictures. I need to look at the pictures. Yeah, that's another case. The Stephanie Lazarus interview was one where it's like you're watching someone who literally was able to kill somebody and then live an entire life and start a whole couple hours later. Okay. And then Arizona time. So I'm in Eastern. Arizona is what? 2 hours behind me or three? Because then what we could do is do that and then just, yeah, I'm just trying to think. I'm thinking out loud right now. AC says it's one of my top 5 police interviews. And Elisa says, I'm a law student. If anyone has legal questions about the case we discuss, hit me up. Oh, awesome. Thank you. Oh, thanks, Lillian. I appreciate it. Tomorrow's video on the main channel is a little bit different. It's about TikTok drama, Ashley Trevino. So if you follow me over there, then you already know what I'm talking about. Arizona is on Pacific now. Okay. And see, now we had our time change over here too. So it's 8 o'clock here, but it's really in my mind 7 o'clock. I don't know. It's been like a million years ago. I gotta look at the pictures. Oh my god, that. But yeah, you're watching Stephanie Lazarus come to the conclusion that, oh, I'm caught. I'm done. I'm done. And trying to talk her way out of it, and there is none. She's cocky. I mean, cocky. I have to look at my pictures. Oh my gosh. I did a video on it a long time ago. And so if you want to watch one, I have it's up there. Yeah, True Crime Loser does an amazing video on that one. And the one that we watched the other day, Stephen McDaniel. Oh, yeah, Lori Healis. I forgot. So her book came out. I forgot about Lori Healis. Just she was like writing that book about the Daybell case. Yeah, Brenda says Stephanie Lazarus had to know that the hammer was going to fall one day. You would think so, especially. I mean, she was a cop, right? It's like maybe she was that cocky. Yeah, the faces Stephanie would make too. I mean, put Lori Daybell to shame. Oh yeah, the Stephen McDaniel. He did put, and I posted on I can't remember where. I think TikTok and my Instagram stories. I found the clip from South Park of them making fun of the movie Aliens, where they're like, they come out at nights mostly that one or whatever. So when Steven said mostly, that was just I was done then, right? Oh yeah, Culinary says next week definitely needs to be Russell Williams, 100%. So yeah, Russell. So we're gonna do step. Now here's the thing: if we get through Stephanie Lazarus Tuesday night, then we'll do Russell on Thursday. But if we don't, he'll be the next week. And then probably after that, depending on what happens with Lori's trial, we can start going back over um the stuff for Lori's stuff to prepare for it. Yeah, I think they ended up arresting Steven that day. I think they already knew. And I don't remember. I don't have. I mean, it's been a while since I went deep into the case, but I feel like they arrested him that day. I feel like they already had a lot of damning information from him at that point, and they were just obviously trying to get a confession and this, that, and the other. Oh yeah, Jenny says Jodi Arias, 100%. We'll do Jodi Arias. I know, right? Yeah, yeah. Nina says Russell Williams is such a tough story, a creepy military killer in Ontario, Canada. Yeah, yeah, he would that he yeah, it's he did a lot of bad stuff. Okay, everybody, it is going to be night time for Paul. So this was fun. Thank you for catching up. Thank you, Indy. Thank you, Emily, for holding the sofa down. I do appreciate y'all. Just stay tuned for Tuesday. I'll post about when I find out about Lori. And if any of you find out, drop me a line or whatever. And so if whether we stream that during the daytime or not, we'll definitely be seeing each other at 7 o'clock Tuesday to watch Stephanie. I'm sorry, yeah, Stephanie Lazarus. Oh, so that's it. I appreciate y'all being here. Sorry, see, I'm now, yeah, this time. Thank you, everybody, for the great conversation, for the super chats, for the community, for the laughs, for the cries, all of it. I do appreciate it. Again, thank you, Emily. Thank you, Indy. And that's it. I will see y'all on the other channel tomorrow. And then on this channel Tuesday night. So be there or be square. But thank you, everybody. Y'all have a wonderful Sunday evening. I love y'all, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.